So folks, this is the first of many interviews with some of my clients. So the people who I'm working with on a regular basis, and I really want to just talk about the coaching journey, what some of the things people have put in place in their business, what changes they've made, and really just going to get their views on their business and kind of where they're looking to take things in the future. And I'm delighted that the first person that I've got on is Kris Bridges from Bridges Properties.
Thanks very much for having me.
All right, Kris. Now, the one thing that you don't know, Kris, is that today is one day shy of our first ever coaching session.
Is it really?
It is actually.
That's mad.
Yeah, a year ago was when we kind of had our first time together, and I guess I'm really impressed just with kind of what you'd done prior to us getting together. And I should note that actually that we're sat here in the Umore offices, and it was actually through Alex that we got together in the first place, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Aye. So I remember Alex had invited me a couple of times to the Growth Club. I think the first time I couldn't make it, can't remember what happened, and then it must have been just over a year ago, my first kind of Growth Club, and then that kind of got me in about the kind of idea of coaching, and then one thing seemed to kind of lead to another, and then we had a chat, and then kind of started the coaching journey.
Great. And again, what I was going to say there is that, in that year, I've been massively impressed with what you've done and the way that you've gone about things, and maybe we'll just uncover some of that as we go through the conversation. But maybe to tee this up, I mean, if I were to, and I've probably shared this with you before, but I always look at business in a fairly simplistic manner, and someone once described it like this to me, and I really liked it. And it's like, a business is like a milking stool, a three-legged milking stool. So in order for that stool to have stability, and therefore the business to have stability, you need to have three strong legs. The first leg is marketing and sales. We need to have strength there. Operationally, delivering the actual product or service to the marketplace, need to be good there. And obviously from a financial point of view as well, we need to have a good grasp of the key numbers of the business. So those three legs need to be strong. And the thing really that glues all that together, at the top, if you like, is the people within the team. And so those four areas of the business is how I always like to look at things. So maybe we'll just walk through your business in that kind of way. Is that okay?
Aye, 100%, yeah.
So, all right. So, I mean, I guess like if we start out on marketing and sales, which is really about, getting the business in, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You were good at that right from the get-go. So you've been in business for how long?
3 years now. Yeah.
3 years. So just give me your kind of take on marketing for an estate agency business.
I was just thinking when you were speaking there, we done a framework at the very first Growth Club that was I can't remember what it's called, but you mark each area of the business, you go through the sheet and you mark it out of 5 or 10.
Yeah, that's right.
And I can remember marketing and sales was the only one I got kind of pass marks on.
Right.
The rest of it was kind of needed to be worked on, but marketing and sales is something that I really enjoy first and foremost. I love that side of the business. That's what I really thrive on. And I thought when I set the business up that was the first thing we had to get right. And I think I was probably right in thinking that, because I thought if we can get people, into selling a property with Bridges Properties, that's probably the biggest difficulty I think that you would find in starting a business up, because you can have all the best systems in the world, but if you've not got the clients to look after, then it's it's null and void. So I really focused on that. I feel like it was naturally something that I was quite good at anyway, but that was the first area that I focused on, and I'm still obsessed with that as well. Yeah. It's a real obsession of mine is how to market ourselves and get clients on board. I always say to the guys in the team as well that for me that is the most important thing. Everything else is very important as well, but as I say, we need to get the clients on board with Bridges Properties first before we can do anything really.
And you say you're naturally good at it, so what is it that you do? What do you find easy in marketing, and how have you arrived on the strategies that you're currently using?
Well, I don't know if it is something I've always been good at, to be fair, when you say that, but for me, what I done to start with, so when I first started as in self-employed estate agency, the market shut for 3 months for during COVID. So what I kind of was sat, we couldn't sell houses at that point. So for me, I just focused all my time and energy on marketing myself because I knew the market was going to reopen. So I thought I just started to watch loads of YouTube videos. I also looked at American and some English as well, estate agents, because I feel they're a wee bit ahead of where we are in Scotland. And when I looked at kind of estate agents in Scotland, in general, most of them had to put a camera in front of their face. Marketing wasn't something I felt that the industry had done well in this country. So I had to look further afield, and I noticed that they'd done it really well. And the common theme between them all was always video. They were really, really big on video. Yeah. So I had never ever done any sort of video. I was really, to be honest with you, I was absolutely bricking it to even do a video. Like the thought of putting a camera in front of my face. But what I'd done was, because I didn't have, it was kind of killing two birds with the one stone, because I didn't know a lot about estate agency. I didn't know a lot about selling houses. So actually by prepping for videos, I was learning about how to sell houses. So if I would do a video on, for example, what's involved in a home report, because the idea was that if I could provide value to people, then they would get to know me first and foremost, get to know that I was selling houses. Then they would maybe think about selling their house with me, but they had to get to know me first. And I thought, rather than just making it all about me, I would provide them with value. When I was in car sales before I sold houses, and I can always remember on my first day of training, the guy said to me, you need to make sure that you're everybody's car guy. So you want to be, if somebody's looking to book their car in for a service, you don't get paid for that, but you want them to phone you and say, Kris, I'm wanting to get my car booked in the service, you help them, because you're the first person that comes into their mind when they're thinking about cars. So what's going to happen when they're thinking about buying a new car, or when their friends think about buying a new car? And that really stuck with me, and that's what I've tried to do with houses. So by me putting a video out about what's involved in a home report, that wasn't automatically going to get somebody to go, I'm going to go and sell my house with him, but people were interested in that, and all of a sudden I was becoming their house guy, do you know what I mean, providing them value. So that's where that idea came from.
And you know, you're making me think of two phrases. One is giver's gain, which is a phrase that I think it was when I was at BNI kind of many years ago, I really kind of, that chimed with me. And then a book as well called Go Givers, Sell More. And it's the idea of you give first, you give value, you're a genuinely good citizen, and you help. Yeah. And what comes back is the business ultimately in the long term. So you've done that brilliantly well.
Thank you. It feels a wee bit unnatural, because you're thinking, especially when you're starting a business up, you're like, I need houses like now, quick style. Yeah. So that you're playing the long game a wee bit with that one, because it's and it feels a wee bit maybe unnatural, but because I feel like what I felt like was by trying to play the long game. What I mean by that is, if you were just always putting out videos like, come and sell your house with me, come and sell your house with me, people would get tired of that, people would get bored of that. You're not really providing them with anything, so you weren't really going to get very far. Fair enough, they type of videos or posts are good from time to time, but providing value, you're playing a wee bit more of the longer game, and it's definitely paid off for us. I think it's the number one, video is definitely the number one reason that we've grown so quickly. I kind of always say that I'm a big advocate for video, because I know you speak a lot about people knowing you, liking you, and trusting you, and video has been paramount to that for Bridges Properties.
Yeah. Do you know, I like the way you've said that you've taken the learning from the car industry. You be the car guy, be the house guy, the home guy. But what you said there about when you started the business was you went in search of, okay, how are other people doing it? So onto YouTube. So that's one thing I would really notice in you, is you're a real learner. You're not scared to go and say, right, what don't I know? How do I learn? And then the idea of being scared almost initially to go on camera. You're not scared to give things a go as well. Mm-hmm. So again, putting yourself out of the comfort zone is something I think you seem to just do quite, well, it seems like quite naturally, but you know, you probably kind of got some feelings of trepidation, I dare say, at times, have you?
100%. Like, see, when I was doing videos to start with, I was having to change my shirt after it because I was sweating so much. Like, the fear was definitely on me, and it was like the amount of takes it used to take me. If you look back at my first videos, they're crap. They're really bad, but you have to be bad at something to get better at, you know, to be good at something, you need to start somewhere. And for me, it was really bad, but I just pushed through it, and it was like, you know, you got the fear, like, oh, what's all my mates from Blackburn going to think about me, then sitting in front of a video trying to talk about selling your house and all this, you know, all this rubbish that goes on, and the imposter syndrome and everything like that, it's on you. But I'm so glad I done it, and pushing through I always challenge myself to really go out my comfort zone, because it's something that I've not always done, but in recent years I really try it. So if I ever I'm kind of fearful of something, I'll always give it a go, because I know that that's where growth comes from, is by just really pushing myself all the time. And that was what I definitely had to do with video, that's for sure.
And I guess, you know, your job now as your team has grown is to impart some of that wisdom, some of that kind of give it a go to your team, to say get on video, and is that right?
Aye, 100%. Like if the guys at Umore come to do videos, I'll make them do it in front of the rest of the team on purpose. Do you know what I mean? Because it's really uncomfortable, and I know how uncomfortable it is. But you need to. That's the kind of environment we're trying to create for everybody to just push themselves, like no too far or anything like that, but just get used to being uncomfortable, because we are kind of trying to break through and kind of break the mould and really try and grow and you know, do really well, and we won't be able to do that if everybody's just kind of happy sitting where we are. So I kind of try and push the guys for that as well. Aye.
And so to what extent do you feel that you and Bridges are becoming the go-to people in your area?
So like when I think about it, we're just kind of getting started, but we've done really well. We're 3 years in. We've done really well, and I'm really proud of the team and the business, how well it has done. But I sometimes feel a bit like I feel a bit silly saying that sometimes, because it's like when I think about the work that we've got to do, when I think about how inexperienced we all still are, when I think about where we're going to go, like we really are just kind of getting started. But there's times where it's nice to turn around and kind of look at how far we have come. The first quarter of 2024, we're number one in sales and for listings and for sales in West Lothian, which is great. It's amazing, but I always have the fear of sitting and looking at that too much, and then, you know, like there's a job to do, we need to get back to it, rather than just admiring the kind of work that we've done. So I do struggle with that, but it is nice to look at things like that and say what we're doing is working, and it gives you the confidence to kind of keep going. But I would say that, you know, people always say, you know, we see your boards everywhere, we see your face everywhere and everything like that, and that's always nice, but it's not just all about kind of you know, the numbers for us. I'm really proud of the guys, because we're really offering, as much as the volume's increasing, the level of service is still at a very high standard, and that's been a challenge, but it's a challenge we're dealing with really well, and I want that to remain the constant, no matter how big this business goes, is that we're very client focused, and the client's always at the core of what they do, and the guys will be they'll definitely back me up in that I'm always kind of onto them to say, is that client we spoke to, how, do you know, we even go through the board and say, right, what's your relationship with that client between 1 and 10? Do you know, if it's not quite getting close to a 10, how can you work on that? Give them a phone. Do you know, we're always kind of client focused, and I think if we keep that, then naturally things will just get better for us.
They will. And I like the fact that, you know, you're a real driver. So it's good to look back and see where you've come from. As you say, in that 3-year period, you know, there's an awful lot happened, but you've also got big ambition as well. And it's just finding that balance, isn't it, of reflecting and appreciating what you and the team have done, but then also being on it for kind of keep going and what's next.
100%. I think that's bringing its own challenges, because I can see the business is really gaining a lot of momentum, and it's really growing at a quick rate. But I was actually just having a wee chat with Alex about that this morning. It's like, you know, you need to be careful with that as well. You can't just always be go. You know, you need to kind of regroup at times, and because growing brings its own kind of challenges, I suppose, as well. So I'm really driven, and I want to really go for it, but there's times I just need to kind of try and just remain calm.
So that's maybe a nice place to kind of move on to then. So actually you initially started obviously on your own, self-employed, and then as you've grown, what's the team at now?
There's 7 of us.
7 of you now. So actually, you've kind of gone through that transition, haven't you, from being a sole contributor, if you like, or an individual contributor and doing it all yourself, to then actually passing over responsibility to the team that you're building around you. So how have you dealt with that transition? Because the transition's still happening, but
Aye.
how's that gone for you, and what are the key things that you've learned?
That's been really challenging. That's something that I've really had to work on. So obviously when we first met a year ago, and again the biggest kind of light bulb moment for me was when we were going through that framework and I was kind of scoring it, and I thought, oh, this is like real business stuff. Do you know what I mean? This is how we really run a business. And I'm not very good at it at the minute. I was quite, I admitted that at that point. I think I'd done what most, I don't know, but I'd imagine what most business owners do. And, it's just like get as many sales as we can, start building a team, make sure that the bank account is healthy. And then that's, as long as we've got more coming in than that's going out, then brilliant. And then that kind of, I knew my eyes were going to have to be opened. I wasn't completely burying my head in the sand. I knew I had to get better at that kind of thing, but I was so... But previous to a year ago, I was just so concentrated in trying to get the business off the ground. Then when we met, it came to light that, I've got a lot of work to do with the team. It's, I've had to get used to the idea that not everybody thinks like me. And that's been a real struggle, and it's opened my eyes to how you actually manage people. I've never had to manage people before, so that's brought its own challenges. A big challenge to try and, the team dynamic and, when we're looking at putting processes and systems in place, that's really unnatural for me. I've never had to work under a process or a system. I've always been in sales, so I've always just kind of went and done things without being in a kind of structure, or what I thought anyway. But then I've realised that as the team started to grow, that it's so important to have that in place for them.
And what was the light bulb moment for you on that bit then? Why do you now say it's so important for them?
Because I seen the carnage that I was causing in the office as we started to go to 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Then it was like, people were doing things, and I'm like, why are they doing that? And then when I got to the root of it, it's like, well, I've not showed you how to do that. And then if I'd maybe came from a managerial background before, or ran a business before or whatever, I maybe would have had the structures in place to start with, but I never. And it was just a kind of free-for-all, and then it just started to cause a bit of mayhem in the office.
Yeah, but I think that's probably typical of a lot of people in business, which is, if you don't know, you don't know. But once you know, as long as you expose yourself to the learning, once you know it, then you can do something about it. You can get better.
100%.
And I think that's what I've noticed in you is that what's really satisfying is kind of when you say, right, I get it. And then you apply what you learn, and then you get stronger. So, if we look at March, for example, I know that one of the things you said that you really wanted to spend some time with a particular kind of group of the team. And why was that do you want to talk about that?
Aye, so of course, aye. So so we were chatting, and there was frustrations there, but it was frustrations because I am inexperienced at managing people, and we kind of just brought it back to speaking about the sales values, for example, to try and give them a bit of structure, and to try and, what we had actually realised through the chat that we had is I hadn't given them any training at all. And it was just, working with me, and, we kind of moulded up a bit of a system, but it really needed fully looked at. So what we decided was, for the full of March, I was going to spend time with them to really define their role, to really help them with their pitch, for example, when they're going out for clients who are thinking of selling their home to do a valuation. We looked at that and just really spent a lot of time on that. We spent a lot of time on the kind of marketing side of things, lead generation. We spent a lot of time on that, and all of a sudden, because we brought up our conversion rates from a lead to a lead to an appointment, and an appointment to a converted listing, and we just looked at each area of that to say, one, how can we get more leads in, how can we then convert them, and how can we convert them. So we just peeled it all back. We're still working on it just now, but for me, and I'm sure the guys would agree, that that's drastically changed things. The performance has been through the roof the last kind of month or so, and I think just by focusing on that. So and I'm really still, again, very early stages at managing people, so I'm still trying to get better on that. I've still got a lot of improving to do in terms of managing people, but I'm on that kind of journey and it's getting there.
Yeah, and I was really impressed by that, because the two things to call out there, I would say, is that this idea of how do you take a situation and then look at it in terms of its constituent parts. So divide it down and then really focus in on, okay, what do we need to do to change it or optimize that? And I think you've done that really well. And then once you've got the system, it's to train people in the system as well. And it's that hands-on. Remember that parkour video that we kind of talked about, the coach showing the wee lad how to do a backflip. And it was that about, you have to be hands-on with people initially and then start to back away as they get it. Yeah. And I think that March has been a really good example of that. As I've watched you do that, I'm thinking, nice. Now move on to the next set of people and do the same there.
100%. I think it's holding myself accountable as well. I'm getting better at that. If there's ever a problem or I'm frustrated with something, I'm always looking at my part to say, well, what are you not doing? What are you not? And that's where that comes from. And I could have looked at that in either way. The first way being, why are they not doing that? What's the point? Blah, blah, blah. And then I actually looked at it and I thought, well, you've not done any sort of training. You've not showed them exactly what to do. And then that gave me a bit of a fright, and I thought, oh, and I've started to look at the business totally differently. And because I'm thinking, I need to put myself in their shoes to say, if I've started in a business and I've got no structure, I've never been shown what to do, how can they expect me to do it? And it's exactly the same for them to an extent. Like, obviously we've done some training and we've done things, but nowhere near as well as we could have.
Yeah. And you're kind of making me think there of above and below the line. Mm-hmm. So when we talked about that initially, kind of what was your response to that?
I love that kind of stuff. Other work I've kind of done on myself, that's taking ownership and accountability. Things is something that doesn't come naturally to me. The kind of self-pity and stuff like that comes in, and you want to kind of blame others and everything like that. That's my kind of go-to wee safety place.
And by the way, I think that's the go-to. It's the path of least resistance for everyone. Blame, excuses and denial. It's really easy to do.
100%.
The opposite of that, ownership, accountability, responsibility, that's harder to do in the moment, but in the long term, it's the only way to be. Because otherwise life gets really difficult if you live below the line.
Aye, I don't mean to get deep here, but I think that's a lot more freeing, I think, because when you're in the kind of below the line, you're trying to control others and you're trying to, that's impossible to do. But then when you're taking your accountability and ownership of your own stuff, you're actually in control of that, and that for me is really freeing, rather than just sitting doom and gloom and blaming others. It's not a very nice place to be in, although it is the easier option of the two.
So I mean, you've done a really nice job there with the team, and the one thing I noticed, we're sat here obviously in the Umore offices as well, and one thing I'm always struck by is just how well the team here get on. There's a lovely team vibe, and I think the same is true in your office as well. When I come in there, you're building a nice team of people.
100%. Aye, we've got a really, really good team. We're all young, driven, enthusiastic. There's really good energy. That's the one thing I've really tried to focus on, is good energy. I feel like, and I don't know if that will work for every business, but for ours it does, is that really good energy for people I can work with. Bad energy is just, it's so hard it's impossible to work with for me anyway. So there's just a really good team dynamic there, of people that are all very much the guys are really enthusiastic about building the business, about offering a really good service. And it's just, the laughs we have in the office and everything like that, it's just a really enjoyable place to work. Even for me as a business owner coming in, most days are just really, I enjoy going into the office most days, that's for sure.
We spend an awful lot of time at work. We may as well kind of have fun while we're doing 100%. It. So I like that. And I guess in terms of talking about above and below the line and taking full responsibility, can we talk a little bit about the finances? And don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to declare your finances kind of publicly, but as a guy who's skilled in the art now of kind of sales and marketing and now selling houses, that technician piece you're strong at. But then when it comes to finances, this is an area that a lot of people that I initially speak to have kind of shied away from. Oh, I'm busy doing all that good stuff that I know, but tend not to look too much at the finances. What's your relationship with your finances and how's that changed?
Very, very, very similar. So like my focus when I first started it was how to be the best estate agent in the world. Do you know what I mean? How to, and then obviously people. I knew that to build it at the rate that I wanted to build it, I needed to bring people in and stuff like that. And that's how it started to come together. And then what I realised is, again, for our initial chats, I knew it was coming, but the finances were. Do you know, I had one of the first questions you asked me was, what's your revenue, what's your gross profit, what's your net profit? And I was like, no got a clue. Do you know, and even saying that now, I'm like, wow, how did I not know that? But it just wasn't my focus. I knew that the bank account was healthy, if you know what I mean. I knew that there was enough money there for us to run, and that's how I ran the business for the first 2 years of Bridges Properties, because I was so focused on the market and sales, do you know, all that kind of side of things. So that then I kind of had a bit of oh right, I've got a bit of work to do here. So even like the way we invoiced out, we just kind of invoiced out, and we seen the money coming in. It was so basic, like minimum level, and then all of a sudden we realised that we got onto zero. And then we had to basically get all the finances for the first 2 years and also all the invoices right, and start to the profit and loss. There wasn't a profit and loss sheet, you know what I mean? And then we had to get that in order. So that took from when we first started in the March till probably the end of 2023 to really get that to a place where it was like, I now know the numbers, do you know what I mean? And I hope that it doesn't mind me saying that, but I remember having a wee chat with John Davidson, for example, and he just knew his numbers like that. He knew every single number about his business, and I took kind of note of that. And I thought, and any business owner that I speak to that's successful knows their numbers inside out. So then that transition happened from like I want to be the best estate agent in the world to I want to become the best business owner in the world. My mindset's completely flipped there, and that's now my new obsession. So I'm trying to get all over the numbers, but again, still very, very early stages. That you know, it's happening, but it's going to take a while to get to a place where I'm there.
I like the way you said that. I mean, that's an identity shift, isn't it, from being the best estate agent to the best business owner that you can be. I really like that. What's interesting. Again, just a recent conversation. You know, if I reflect back to your honesty there about where you were on the financial competence, which was. Yeah, not as good as it is now. But you were then talking about the difference between cash accounting and accrual accounting the other day. I'm like, ooh, check you, eh? But I think for me, it's that idea of you can get better if you focus, if you really just apply yourself, you just get better. And actually, what's that done for your level of confidence out of it now that you know the numbers?
That's been the biggest thing for me from going through business coaching with yourself. It's having confidence, like, probably lost a lot of sleep over, am I doing the right thing? Can I hire this person? Is it too early? When is the right time? Can we get an office? All these big questions were happening. I was kind of going on gut instinct, and also just looking at the bank account to go, all right, I think in the amount of sales, you're just kind of going on a bit of a gut feeling and a wee bit of knowledge. And again, no fully at that place yet, but night and day compared to a year ago now, we can make decisions with a lot more confidence to go, right, it's maybe not quite the time to do that, get a few months, or we need to do that now, we've got the funds in place and all that kind of stuff, but that's been probably the biggest improvement that we've made in the last year that's given me a wee bit of sleep back, I would say.
Great. And tell me, what would you say is the next stretch for you then?
So the next stretch, well, we're at a place where I've got a team of 7, we're growing at a very, very fast pace. The next stage for me would be to get the office that we're in, the team of people that we've got just now, exactly how, I would want to have it, running probably 90% without me still being very much involved. But I mean, in terms of the day-to-day, having the team at a place where they're very competent to do their roles. And then once I've got I always use the same term, but to have an absolute machine that's really doing exceptionally well, to then clone that, if you like, mirror that and open new offices. Whether that is going to happen in the next couple of years, whether it takes me 5 years, 10 years, I've not really put a time frame on it, because I would really like to, because I've got a wee bit maybe distracted before with thinking this is going really well, I would love to open a new office, but for me, I need to get this one exactly how I would like it to be to the end. You know what you're going to say. We've had many conversations about Marbella and where else have we had? Dubai, aye. Do you know, I've got so many big ambitions, but just you've taught me to just focus on the one thing at a time before we get distracted with other shiny things.
Excellent, mate, excellent. And listen, one last quick question before we wrap up then. How would you describe coaching to someone?
How would I describe it to someone? I can only speak about my own experience. It really has been, it's been the best thing I've ever done. And I don't say things like that lightly. I'm not just saying that because we're sitting on this podcast. I would say that, you know, to anyone, if you're running a business like me, and, you know, I don't think it really matters what stage you're at. For me, it was very early that I started coaching. You know, I was only 2 years into running a business. But I think for any business owner, my experience has been that it's gave me so much more confidence in my business. Do you know, not even that, that's one thing, but even just coming and seeing yourself every week or second week, whatever it is we do, and just giving you space outside the office as well. Do you know, just giving you that space, because it can be quite lonely, do you know, when you're running a business yourself and you've got all these kind of ideas and fears and frustrations, and just giving us a space to you know, vent to you at a lot of times, and I think that's been really valuable for us. But I could speak for hours about the benefits over the last year that we've had through coaching with yourself. It's been amazing, really. It's completely transformed our business, to be honest with you.
Great. Well, look, that's really pleasing to hear. But I mean, if you were to ask me the question back, which is what's it like being a coach to you? It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And I say that sincerely because I love the attitude that you've got. I love the ambition that you've got. I like the values that you have as well. The way you do things is admirable. So you're an absolute pleasure, and I really thank you for it. So
thanks very much, mate.
All right, mate. Well
thank
done.
you. Cheers.